welcome to this Microsoft Word video looking at tabs. Tabs in a Word file are used to either indent the first line of a paragraph or to set up columnar lists similar to the one on my desktop. As you can see, there are four kinds of tabs in a normal document. The left tab aligns the first characters wherever that tab is set in the file. A center tab positions the characters equally to the left and right of that tab position. When you set a right tab, the last character in each list will be aligned at the tab setting. And the decimal tab is used when you're typing money amounts primarily, where there may be different numbers of digits before and after the decimal place. As you can see, the periods are all aligned, and because of that, the numbers to the left and right appear in a single column. Word uses the left tab as its default setting, and those tabs will appear 1/2 inch across your document. There are a couple of ways of setting tabs. We're going to start by looking at the paragraph and tab dialog box. So I access the dialog box by clicking on the paragraph settings button in the paragraph section of my ribbon. Once that dialog box pops up, I have a tabs button in the lower left corner. So single click on that. Here are the default tabs that I had mentioned. So if you decide you want to increase or decrease the tab measurements, this is the spot to do it. Now what we're going to do is type a 3-column list of libraries in the city, listing the branch name, the area of the city it's found in, and the street. So I want 3 tabs because my first column is going to be indented in from the margin. So I'm going to click my cursor in the tab stop position box, and now I'm just going to guess at placements. So my first column is going to be 1 inch from the margin. The alignment option defaults to left, so I'm fine with that, and I'm just going to set or add that tab to my current paragraph. My second column is going to be at the 3-inch mark. I'm going to choose a center tab for this one though, and set that. My last column is going to be at 5 inches, and we'll set it as a right tab. Again, straightforward. Where do I want the tab to go? What kind of tab? And I'll set it. Once you see all of your tabs in the position locator box, you simply OK out. So now it's just a matter of adding my text in. I'm going to press the tab to move to my first list and just type in some headings. So we've got name, area, and street. I'm going to then enter, turn the bold feature off, and now I'm ready to type in my library list. Tab to my first column, and you're pressing the tab key once to move from column to column. If you end up pressing it for some lines once and then twice in others, you'll find it's very difficult to edit the tab settings later on. So I've just entered after that first line. I'm going to press the tab again. When you set your own tabs and enter to a new line, those tabs are automatically carried over to the next line, and they'll remain in your document until you delete or change them. So we'll just add one more library. Once your list is typed, you can now do the critical formatting. Things like the position of the columns on the page or the alignment of tab you've chosen may be changed at this point. What's important though is that I highlight the lines before I go back to the tabs dialog box. So again, I'm going to go to paragraph settings and tabs. These are my current tabs. Let's make a couple of changes. So I'm fine with the first column. Second column I may want to move, but I think I'm going to start by changing this last tab. It's a little too close to the second column, and I don't think I like the look of the right tab. I'll want to switch it to a center tab. So what I'm going to do is highlight the tab first, click on center, reset that tab, and then OK back to my document. So as you can see, all of the selected lines have now been changed. To move the columns around, specifically the second column, I'm again going to go to the tab dialog box, but let's take a shortcut this time. Instead of relying on the paragraph settings button, I'm going to point my mouse on one of the tabs that is in the ruler. It's currently being used, and when I see that tick box recognizing the tab, I'm just going to double click. So I'm back to my starting point. The 3" is a little close to the first column. So I'm going to delete or clear this one tab and set a new tab at 3.5 inches. It's still going to be a center tab. I'm going to click the set button and then OK out. So now I've adjusted the placement of that column. At this point, if I want to continue playing with the spacing between the columns, I can use the ruler as a shortcut. I find trying different measurements and going in and out of the tab dialog box is a little frustrating, whereas using the ruler can let me eyeball and make the change instantly on my screen. Now the ruler is found just below the ribbon on your desktop. If you don't see a ribbon on your screen, click on the View tab, and in the Show section, you would single click on Ruler. I'm just going to go back to my home tab. So now looking at the ruler, I can see the left tab that was used for my first column, the center tabs for the second and third columns. And now just to customize or change my spacing, I'm going to move my mouse onto the center tab for the second column and just sort of click and drag it. I'm eyeballing it to try and balance out the list that I have. I can do that any number of times. If something does go wrong, use your undo button to restore the original tab so that you can continue editing. So the ruler gives me a very easy way of editing text, but let's now look at how I can use the ruler to set tabs. So I'm just going to click below here, enter a couple times, and bring up a list that I had previously typed in. I'm going to activate the Show Hide button because I want to show you how tabs look in a document. The arrows that you see on the screen represent the number of times the tab key was hit to position or space the text out. As I mentioned earlier, it is very important that you only press the tab key once between the columns in your list, especially for this type of list where the text does not appear evenly spaced to start. So I prefer to work with the show features off, so I clicked on the hide button. What we'll do now is select these lines and add different tabs to actually space these columns out correctly. I'm going to leave the first column at the left margin. So I want my second column to use a left tab, and again, I'm going to guess on the spacing at about 2 inches. To set tabs using the ruler, we look at the far left side of our screen and there's a little square called a tab selector. The symbol that you see in that square determines what kind of tab will be set when you click your mouse on the ruler. So there's currently an L. If I'm not sure what that L represents, I can just move my mouse on the square and see that it will be a left tab. I don't drag the tab over, I simply position my mouse where I want that tab to appear, single left click, and all of the highlighted lines will now reposition that text for that new tab setting. If I wanted to use a different tab, I would single left click on the currently displayed tab. The icon for the center tab now appears. If I don't want a center tab, I would click on that symbol, and now I have the right tab symbol. So I'm going to use that for the code column and just sort of guess about there. Now the last column in this list has money amounts, and there are different numbers again to the left and the right of the decimal point. I can't use a right tab because the 49 would not be properly aligned with the other amounts. So I need to click on that right tab symbol to bring up the decimal tab, and let's set that at 5. So now that my text is lined up at my tab settings, much like I did in the previous listing, I can move the tabs around to reposition the text. If I decide that I don't like a tab, instead of a right tab for this third column, maybe I want to use a left or a center tab, I can easily remove my tab by positioning the mouse on that tab and clicking and dragging it down. As soon as the mouse is in the document and the tab appears gray, you release your mouse and the tab is now gone. So this list is not going to look great until I have another tab in the ruler. Beyond the decimal tabs, you will have a bar tab up here. What the bar tab does is insert a vertical line between the columns of text. If you want lines separating the columns in your list, you're far better off using a table. So we're going to skip over that one. I can also set different indent styles from the ruler. So there's my first line, my left indent, and then I'm back to my left tab. So now by resetting a tab in the ruler for my third column, okay, I didn't quite click in the right spot. I've now realigned the text. That is a trick when you're setting tabs with the ruler. Make sure your mouse is within the middle of that white section. If the mouse is too low down, you will not have a tab added to the ruler. Much like I had done before, I can then click and drag the tabs. If I wanted to alter the headings only, I would just select that one line, and I can either drag the tabs, actually that one looks good, I can reposition the tab controlling the titles. Some users like to have the headings of their columns appear centered over the text. So there's our ruler. There's one other area of tabs we haven't looked at, and that's a feature called leaders. Leaders are symbols that appear to the left of a tab to guide your eyes across a line. So what we're going to do is use leaders for this listing, I want to set a right tab for the price column close to the right margin and use the leader tab feature. I'm going to go back through my paragraph settings dialog box. So my tab position is going to be at 6.5. I'm using a right tab, and that's why I'm so close to the right margin. And in the leader section, I can choose either dot leaders, dashes, or underlines. So I'm going to go with the dot leader, set that tab, and then OK out. There's my leader setup. For simple lists where you're not wanting to type a lot of text in a column, tabs can be a very quick and convenient method to set them up. If you are dealing with more complex lists where you have a lot of text to wrap in a column before the next column begins, you probably want to work on your tables unit. Thank you for watching this video. Bye-bye.